Facebook.
Welcome everybody to the El Cajon City Council meeting. We continue holding remote meetings while the governor's executive order continues to be in effect due to the COVID-19 epidemic. I'd like to remind our citizens they can submit questions for items on today's agenda as we have done in previous meetings. Public comments may also be submitted at this time, and they will be read at the appropriate time during this meeting. Comments will be accepted up to the conclusion of the vote of the item. Comments may be submitted through the City of El Cajon's website under Agendas and Minutes. Go to Video Streaming, and you will see a button to submit your comments. The meeting is now called to order, and I'm going to ask our city clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, when I call your name, if you can please state that you are present. Mayor Wells.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz.
I'm here.
Council Member Goebel.
Present.
Council Member Kendrick. Council Member Kendrick, you're muted.
Okay, present.
Thank you. And Council Member McClellan. Mr. McClellan, you are muted as well.
I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Would you all then please recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me? And then after that, we'll have a brief moment of silence. Ready? Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the June 23rd, 2020 meeting and the agenda of the July 14th, 2020 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. I'd like to once again remind the public to submit their comments early. www.cityofelcajon.us. That's cityofelcajon.us. To make sure they are received on time, they can be read before the item is approved. We have two presentations on today's agenda. In the first one, I will read the proclamation and then invite Director of Recreation, Frank Carson, to share a video with us. Whereas July is National Parks and Recreation Month, Parks and Recreation make lives and communities better, not only in July, but all year long. Parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide inclusion recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all residents. The Parks and Recreation Department calls upon all El Cajon residents to fully utilize and enjoy their local parks, trails, open space facilities, and recreation opportunities. And whereas in celebration of Parks and Recreation Month, we invite you to join the City of El Cajon in observance of July as Parks and Recreation Month by visiting a local park or participating in any one of our outstanding recreation programs. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, the mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of July 2020 to be Parks and Recreation Month in the City of El Cajon, signed this 14th day of July 2020. And Frank, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually invited our recreation supervisor, Malo Lutu, to also actually receive the proclamation. So hopefully, Malo, you can unmute yourself and show everybody you have it in hand, signed by the mayor.
It's right here. Thank you very much.
And I actually asked Malo to be here specifically today because he's one of the many outstanding people we have working in Parks and Recreation. He is specifically responsible for the Renette Park and Recreation Center, as well as our youth sports programming. Last year, we received a small grant from the National League of Cities where we were able to send Malo, what he goes by, and some other staff to different trainings. One was in Denver, one was in Washington, D.C., but it was really connecting the community outdoors, but connecting the community with nature. And Malo learned a lot of strategies how to encapsulate that and bring that back to our community. Most recently, he applied for with some help, but it was his lead that he did the Sandag grant in terms of the shared streets. So if you go around Renette Park today in the month of July, you'll see these barricades around it, and it's to expand the park temporarily on shared streets with scooter walking, making it a little bit more of a safer environment. And Malo's taking the lead on some other projects that we're really excited about that he'll be rolling out, and you'll hear something at our next council meeting most likely about that. Malo, did you want to say a couple of words?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the proclamation. I accept it on behalf of the City of El Cajon Parks and Recreation Department and all the staff members that do all this good work to, maintain this healthy community by providing services to everybody here. So definitely appreciate it, and thank you very much.
And thank you, Malo. I know the mayor and everybody's used to a lot of videos. When I did put a brief video together, it kept on coming out like sketchy when I tested it out, like it would trip a lot or doing a council meeting via Zoom. So I opted and I switched up to doing just a brief presentation. One of it was featuring Malo. One is just to give you a snapshot of most of our core services, which are dance, cheer, tumbling, gymnastics, youth sports, our swim program, preschool programming, after school, arts and crafts, active adults, our scooter, skate, and BMX areas, inclusion. So we do provide inclusion assistance, one-on-one aid per federal guidelines should someone need that type of assistance. Our day camps, and also providing park access. These are all what we recognize as our core services. Something that we recognized, especially in this last spring with COVID-19, is the need to redeploy our services. And one way that we were able to do that is redeploy our rec squad, but also create a virtual rec center. These are actually screenshots of a few of the videos that our rec team, our Parks and Rec team has put together. We've actually put together over 50 videos. If you're lucky, you'll see me doing the cloud walk in one of them, but you have to kind of search for it on YouTube. But they've done this to create part of our virtual rec center, but keep our community engaged during this very unique time. One thing that was really highlighted, not only locally, but on a national scale, was how we've been able to redeploy our rec squad. And we see this great article from Karen Perlman here that she was able to do. Kaiser Permanente, they jumped on the opportunity to also be a part of this opportunity and sponsor these programs. So the burden wasn't really on the general fund to offer this, bringing more parks to the people. And that was really our initiative throughout this past spring and beginning to summer. You do know Parks and Recreation also puts on or works with our partners. And you see here our Public Works street crew right here helps out greatly during our July 4th, shutting down the streets just to make sure we limited public gathering as best we could for our July 4th fireworks. And these were some families walking in. I asked their permission. I said, can I get your permission to use your photo? I want to use it in a presentation. And they said, yes. So overall, that was a great experience, and I wanted to end the presentation with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Paolo. I appreciate it very much. Frank, before you go, could you tell us a little bit about what's open and what's not now with the restrictions?
So we've actually kept all of our rec centers open for the public in terms of accessing the restrooms. All of our park restrooms have been open throughout. Our dog park never closed. We never closed our informal skate area at the Renette Park. So that's all open. We are required to keep our playgrounds closed right now, and a lot of our active recreational amenities that we do have. So like our adult fitness areas at Wells Park, at Bill Beck Park. We are allowed to offer sports camps. So we're working with our youth leagues like AYSO, Little Leagues, to offer up to 1-to-12 ratio. And they can do a sports camp type of setup fitting those county guidelines. The passive recreation is still very much open, but we can't have like someone set up at a park and put a jumper there. We're not at that point yet. We're hoping to get there next month.
How about swimming?
We do actually offer swimming. So lap swim is open. It is 12:45 to 2:15 Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends 12 to 3. And right now, fitting the county guidelines, we are only allowed to offer private swim lessons. So we are offering private swim lessons. We also offer swim team fitting the county guidelines, but with limited that we're able to do. And we are offering semi-private lessons, but they have to be members of the same household for that.
Great. Thanks very much for the update.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
All right, going on to our second presentation, and that is to recognize Noah Bluncher, who is joining us via Zoom. Noah, are you here?
Give me a second, Mayor. I'm trying to promote him right now.
All right, while we're doing that, I will tell you that we're going to have Mr. Goebel come and take over. He's going to read the proclamation and has a few words to say, and I'll pass it off to you, Steve.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are we able to get oh, there's Noah. How you doing, Noah? Give me a wave, Noah.
For a minute.
Hey, how you doing? And he's in his scout uniform and everything. Way to go, young man. Well, council and other people attending via Zoom, let me tell you about this remarkable 12-year-old. Kay Kelly, the Vice President of Development and Marketing for Home and Guiding Hands, let us know about Noah and his work advocating for the residents and clients of Home and Guiding Hands. Noah's mom has worked for Home and Guiding Hands for 35 years. And as part of his second-class Boy Scout Troop 347 opportunities, he wrote a letter as part of his Citizenship in the Nation Merit Badge as part of the Eagle Scout process. And so he decided to write a letter to Senator Brian Jones advocating for some of the clients at Home and Guiding Hands. So let me tell you about that. The governor has proposed cuts to the Department of Developmental Services and the Department of Healthcare Services. And these would be for cuts for the people like Noah's mom who are very active in the day-to-day support for these clients who are helped by Home and Guiding Hands. And so for many of these clients, or perhaps some, these workers, like Noah's mom, are the only family that some of these clients of Home and Guiding Hands. So for Noah to take time to write his state senator about this predicament that these deserving individuals are in, that's quite an achievement and quite a voice for a young man just 12 years old. So it just shows you the value of the scouting program, Noah's parent support of the program, and Noah's participation in the program. So Noah, on behalf of the El Cajon City Council, we hereby recognize and applaud you, Noah Bluncher, for your efforts on behalf of the residents of the Home and Guiding Hands. You took the initiative to contact Senator Brian Jones to advocate against proposed budget cuts to the Department of Developmental Services and the Department of Healthcare Services by the state of California. So therefore, the mayor, Bill Wells, together with the city council, do hereby recognize you, Noah, for your dedication in making a difference in our community. And you've done that through the process of engaging and demonstrating that everyone has a voice and can make a difference. So Noah, congratulations. We applaud you for your work. Way to go, young man. Mr. Mayor, anything you want to add to that?
I'm just really proud of you, Noah. I'd like to hear a little bit about you and how do you feel about this whole process?
I just don't want my mom's work to get closed and shut down because the guys there would have anywhere to go, and the workers there are like family to them.
It's a good lesson to learn. Mental health programs and things like this are oftentimes the first ones to go, and unless people stand up and fight, they get taken away. Good for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, Noah, can you come back and give us a update later and tell us what happened with all this? Or you think you're going to win your fight?
I think so. I hope.
Have you heard back from anybody yet?
No, not really.
Yeah, it takes time. Just keep in touch with Councilmember Goebel, and he'll let us know.
You know, Noah, if you're successful with this particular defense of spending cuts, we may engage you to fight for us on other fronts as well, recreation, public works. We might have some more work for you to do. So stay in touch.
Steve, we should put on the agenda writing a letter to the governor to support Noah in his efforts.
That sounds like a great idea.
All
right. Thanks, Noah.
Mr. Mitchell, do you need to put that on the agenda, or can you just do that for us?
I think we can do that for you. No need for the agenda.
Unless anybody has any objections. All right, Noah, we're going to join in the fight with you.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming. All right, council, we're on to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, we have no changes to the agenda.
How about council members?
No.
All right, then. We are consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion. According to the recommendation listed below, with the concurrence of the city council, a council member or person in attendance may request a discussion of a consent item at this time. Staff, do you wish to pull any of the consent items?
No, sir.
How about council members?
No.
Angela, do we have any comments for consent items?
We received no comments for consent items, sir.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz.
Yes.
Council Member Goebel.
Yes.
Council Member Kendrick.
Yes.
Council Member McClellan.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you very much. That brings us to public comment. And I'd like to once again remind people that they can still submit their comments by the city's website. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments related to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, did you receive any comments?
We received no public comments.
Okay. There are no written communications on today's agenda. We are now at public hearings. We have one item to consider. Item 12 is for the adoption of the City El Cajon Sewer Tax Fees Report for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. And I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I'm going to introduce our two presenters on this item. Yasmin Arellano, our interim Public Works Director, will be the lead on this, and then she'll be turning some time over to Blake Behringer, one of our associate civil engineers that's been the project manager for this transition. So with that, Mr. Arellano.
Thank you, Graham. Hi, good afternoon. Gonna share my screen. Okay, hi. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Council members. I'm Yasmin Arellano, Acting Director of Public Works. On May 12th, the City Council adopted the resolution that provided the overall lowest cost option to build sewer services on the San Diego County tax roll. We're here today not to replace the cost-saving action taken by the City Council on May 12th, but rather to present for adoption the City of El Cajon tax roll fees report for fiscal year 2020-2021. This report identifies by parcel number each parcel of real property receiving sewer services and the amount of sewer charges for each parcel for the fiscal year ending in 2021. Adoption of this report provides the city the ability to collect sewer charges annually as a line item on the annual property tax bill from a vast majority of our customers. During this presentation, we will provide you with a brief explanation of the development of this program and a summary of the recent efforts made up to date to inform our residents of the upcoming change. But first, I would like to acknowledge our team. Oh. Give me 1 second, please. There we go. So first, I would like to acknowledge the team that has been working on wastewater billing since 2019. Our core team members from the Public Works Department, the Finance Department, City Manager's Office, IT, and our consultant at V5. And also, a big thank you to all the members that helped stuff envelopes to make sure that our billings were mailed in a timely fashion. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without them. Now that I've introduced you to the team, I would like to go over the implementation timeline after council selection of the billing method last May that allowed for the 2% reduction on the already approved sewer rate increase of 11% for this fiscal year. As you can see on the screen, I just want to give you a little background from the last 2 months during the months of May and June. NB5 prepared the City of El Cajon sewer tax roll fiscal year 2020-2021 report. Information from this report was utilized to generate the notices that were mailed to property owners and tenants during the month of June, informing about the public hearing today, as required by the Health and Safety Code pertaining to the collection of sewer charges on the tax roll. So what happens next? The sewer charges are sent to San Diego County tax collector prior to August 11th. During the months of July and August, staff will continue to work with our consultant to generate handbills for some properties owned by public entities such as the County of San Diego, Caltrans school districts, and some properties that have condominium overlays for homeowners associations with master meters on their properties to be mailed on September, which is the same month that tax bills will be mailed by County of San Diego tax collector. These payments will be due on November and in April. And then we'll start the process again on April 2021 to prepare the report for the fiscal year ending 2022, to mail the notices to property owners again and hold the public hearing again in July of 2021 to accept the new report. What have we done up to date? So I want to share some of the information some of the great efforts that we've done following the May 12th City Council meeting. We created a comprehensive public outreach strategy to educate the public about this change and how it will streamline the billing process to achieve savings. I want to provide an update of this outreach efforts. The following methods are in no particular order and are identified by approach. So first, we'd like to go into graphics. Graphics were created we created standardized branding across multiple platforms to be used in flyers, videos, digital ads, website, and social media in English, Arabic, and Spanish. Then we go into videos. 30-second videos were created in English, Arabic, and Spanish. These language-specific videos have been published on a scroll at the top of the city's website, billing webpage on the city's YouTube account and social media accounts. The following video, it's a sample of our English video. So I would like to play that for you.
Attention City of El Cajon sewer customers. Great news! Paying your sewer bill just got easier. Starting July 1st, 2020, sewer bills will be collected as part of the property tax invoice. This means fewer bills to track and more payment options available through the county. Additionally, the City Council authorized a 2% reduction from previously approved rates. Visit cityofalcajon.us/sewer for more details and sewer bill lookup tools.
Okay, so now I want to show you our website. Many web pages on our website were redesigned in an effort to provide updated information to the public. So our sewer page was redesigned for easier navigation by creating new site links to pages with visual buttons, as you can see. We have the GIS lookup tool. This tool was built to allow customers to search by address, by assessor's parcel number, or sewer account number to retrieve billing information. our sewer billing webpage. It was formed with additional and visual buttons to redirect customers to newly created pages, including property owners, renters, HOAs, the sewer account lookup tool, the paying online, pay by phone, pay by mail, and pay in person. And we also have the frequently asked questions page that was created with two categories, the tax rule transition and the sewer billing prior to July 1st, 2020. These FAQs are updated every day as staff receives additional inquiries via email, text message, telephone, voicemail, and comments on social media. Then we have our notices. City staff sent multiple notifications to customers, as you can see. We have the notice of the sewer billing transition, public hearing, and tax rule charges. It was sent to property owners and tenants on June 23rd, 2020. We also have separate notices that were sent to entities that have multiple owners with one master meter, and where it's not possible to break down the sewer bill without additional information, such as condominiums, mobile home parks, and HOAs and business associations. As with the landlords and tenants, this notice included information about sewer billing transition, public hearing, and sewer charges. Entities were asked to complete an online questionnaire to allow the city to determine if these entities will be placed on future tax rolls or continue to be hand-billed. These notices were mailed out on July 7th of 2020. The handbill notices were created for agencies and properties, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, that do not receive a tax bill. As with landlords and tenants, this notice included information about the sewer billing transition, the public hearing, the sewer charges. These notices were sent on July 6th of 2020. A notice on the public hearing was printed in the Gazette on July 2nd and July 9th of 2020. We also have a sewer billing update to be printed in the August 2020 Gateway publication. We have email notifications that are sent to the residents that are signed up for them to notify them of the public hearing. And we sent a postcard on July 9th informing the residents that the public hearing today was held online, and also provided a revised sewer website address with a direct link to the city's sewer webpage. We have also social media. We have updated graphics and videos, and information was placed into different city platforms. And just to give you an update of the number of customers that we reached out, 3 Facebook posts reached out a total of 7,292 Facebook users. We have the 3 videos that as this afternoon in English, Spanish, and Arabic had a total of almost 2,500 views. We also have 2 Twitter tweets that engaged 39 users. And we have our Instagram account that reached 258 users. We have our direct contact. And this is for public inquiries received by phone. And the inquiries we have, we put them in 2 pie charts to explain the types of calls we received. So the first pie chart, it shows the categories of calls that we received. So we had 284 calls, we had 87 emails, and 31 text messages for a total of 402 contacts. And then the second pie chart, we have those broken by categories. And I'm happy to report that out of the 402 contacts with our customers, only 7 expressed concern with the tax rule transition after we were able to answer their questions regarding the transition. And actually, this is a really good point to transfer the presentation to our wastewater expert, Mr. Blake Behringer. And so Blake is going to take it on from here. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and distinguished City Council. I'm Blake Berenger. I'd like to begin with sharing some of the positive comments that we've received through phone calls and emails. People are happy that they don't have to worry about a separate sewer bill. Many, if not all, are happy to hear about the rate reduction that Council approved. Many are very surprised at how much easier it is than they thought it would be and how streamlined the process will be. Owners are excited to hear that we sent separate notifications to their tenants so that their tenants don't think they're just raising rent for no reason. Owners are also happy that this process will effectively eliminate late fees for sewer bills as well as liens that happen on properties because of the sewer bills. And people have been very impressed with our website updates and our new tools. And the vast majority of people, after they voice their concerns and we have calls with them, feel well educated after those calls. All right. So as far as the calculations go for the assessments, our methodology has not substantially changed. The annualized and fixed winter average charges are still based on the actual consumption for accounts. The assessment for the billing period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 will be based on this consumption. Fixed winter average accounts will have the average of the two bi-monthly winter periods occurring from November or December 2019 through March or April 2020, just as they always have been. Consumption-based accounts will now be charged based on the 6 bi-monthly water reads occurring from April 2019 through March 2020. The calculation, the equation is shown up on the screen, and it basically is the way it always has been, with the bi-monthly fixed winter average times the rate plus the bi-monthly base multiplied by 6. An average single-family fixed winter account will have a bi-monthly effective charge of $108.13 with the updated rates, which corresponds to an annual assessment of $648.78. Annual consumption accounts will have the annual consumption multiplied by the rate plus 12 times the monthly base charge. This year, and this year only, the assessment includes a prorated charge to close out the fiscal year 19-20 billing period. This proration charge is actually based on the last read date billed for each account prior to July 1st, 2020. The amount is calculated as the bi-monthly fixed winter average or annualized consumption broken down to a bi-monthly charge, then multiplied by the sewer rate and added to the bi-monthly base charge. Then this entire total is multiplied by the fractional number of days out of a standard 61-day cycle. This is the standard practice that we have used for any billing of accounts that are opening or closing and have a smaller than standard billing period. Again, these new rates include the 2% reduction to the 11% increase that was approved for July 1st, down to 9%. The rate study broke down this 11% increase to be a 15% increase on the base charge and a 10% increase on the volumetric charge. For transparency, the 2% reduction applied to these charges and as approved by Council in May was taken evenly across the board. So the base charge is only a 13% effective increase and an 8% increase on the volumetric charge. Concerns were expressed in the March meeting where sewer billing options were brought to council about property owners that pay HOAs for sewer. These concerns were taken into account, and for year one, the city will be producing handbills for these HOAs where the HOA has a master water meter and there are no individual meters for the individual units by the water district. The billings will essentially be the same as they have, just once a year with the HOAs. A letter has been sent to all of the HOAs with a request to fill out an online survey that we've added so that we can do a better assessment on how to transition these HOAs to tax roll billing in year two. City staff is working one-on-one with approximately 60 HOAs to ensure that this year two tax roll billing transition happens fairly and effectively. Staff has included the final engineer's report from NV5 along with the staff report. From the time this report was finished and the letters were sent to the affected parties, 11 property owners made valid requests for a review of their specific situation. City staff found the water usage in these circumstances to be significantly uncharacteristic of the property. Examples of these include properties with major leaks, vacancies, or the refilling of pool during the period that we were billing for. This is a normal process that has regularly occurred throughout the year based on exceptions outlined in the municipal code. The calculations were altered for the 11 identified properties, and the updated list has been submitted as addendum number 1 to the engineer's report. And at this time, we wish to thank you for your time and consideration and look forward to continuing to enhance the streamlining and effectiveness of the sewer billing process. And we welcome any questions that council may have at this time.
It's a very thorough job. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. That was great. Okay. Angela, did you receive any questions or comments on this item?
Yes, sir. We actually received 2 protest letters, and we received 9 web comments. And I can read those for you, sir.
Please.
So the protest letters, one is from Abdullah Paulos, and it reads, in your new notification regarding moving the sewer billing to property tax beginning July 1, 2020, you mentioned that there will be no increase in the sewer cost and that the annual charge for my property will be $837.90. Comparing this new charge of $837.90 with the all-times high amount of $116.91, you are charging me now every 2 months a total of $701.46 per year. I find that there is an increase of 20%. Using the services of San Diego property tax will cost you much less than what the company that went out of business abruptly was charging you, according to what you mentioned in a previous circular notification. I kindly ask you to present this claim of mine to the public hearing that will take place on July 14, 2020 as an objection to this high charge increase. The second protest letter is from Michael Oberbauer, and he writes, I am against the changing of the fee structure of the sewer bill and shifting to the property taxes. The statement of saving 2% on the bill by using the property taxes can also be gained by just charging us just once a year. Putting the sewer bill on the taxes is calling it a tax. Next, you will be having the trash company put their charges on our taxes like San Diego. The people in San Diego were recently told that council wanted to start charging for the services that were on their tax bills, and the citizens were getting free sewer and trash because they forgot that their taxes were raised to cover these expenses. It is just hiding the costs and the costs are going on their property taxes. I am against putting more fees on my property taxes. This should take a 2/3 vote to do this action. And the 9 comments received via the webmaster are, and the first 3 were sent early enough that the Public Works Department was able to contact them. And Ms. Arellano can provide more information on that. But the first comment is from Mr. Barry Bardak. And he writes, the letter sent to me with my July bill states that the sewer billing is being moved to the property tax bills and the rates are not being increased. It further states that the rate will actually be decreased by 2%. My current usage is 9 units at 65.27 per 2 months. This comes to a total yearly cost of $391.62. The annual amount shown in the letter is $477.15. The usage rate was also increased from 9 units to 9.5 units. At 9.5 units, the annual cost should have been $413.38. Even at the 9.5 usage rate, this is still a 15.43% increase, not a 2% decrease. It is very disturbing that the rates are being increased while being told they are not changing. Please look into this. While not part of this agenda item, I want to thank the mayor and city council for ratifying my reappointment to the Gillespie Fuel Development Council. That was Mr. Bardak's comment. The next comment is from Roberta Gimblett. It says, attention, Councilman Gary Kendrick. Given COVID outbreaks, it is understandable that the city of El Cajon decided not to hold a public comment meeting 7/14/2020, but rather to video stream. However, since the public cannot be physically present, it appears that the mayor and council will be making unilateral decisions which impact property owners' finances. I do not want you to make this type of decision for me, especially one which gives the city the right to attach all sewer bills to my property tax. As a Fletcher Hills property owner of 20 plus years and a retired senior citizen on a fixed income, I have to carefully budget my monthly expenses, including but not limited to those related to medical expenses, anticipated or anticipated. Therefore, attaching all sewer bills to my property taxes creates yet another stressful financial hardship, which I cannot handle. Please permit me the opportunity to continue to pay my sewer bills throughout the year, not on my property taxes. Next comment from Richard Fisher. He wrote, in regards to the company that was doing the sewer billing prior, if they were not able to continue for whatever reason, why was there not an effort to seek other companies to do the billing like they had done in the past, instead of jumping to put the bill on our property tax bill? Next comment, and we're about halfway there, from Rebecca Pollock-Rude. She writes, I urge the City Council to vote no on item 12, which would shift the city sewer billing to the county property tax roll. Until you have determined how best to provide property owners with an accurate billing rate for owners and homeowners associations, property owners cannot rely on the lack of information the city has regarding how to bill unit owners and HOAs, and will not know whether a renter is living in the unit or if the owner of the unit until a unit will now have to pay for a sewer bill that is generated by a tenant. Thanks for hearing my concerns. Next comment from Norma Scantlin. I urge the City Council to vote no on item 12, which would shift the city sewer billing to the county property tax roll. Last week, I received a property tax assessment update postcard mailing from the city, which outlined a couple of corrections from your first mailing a few weeks ago. I live on property that has a septic system, and I am not a sewer customer, so I'm wondering why I got a mailing when I don't pay for sewer at that address. Until you have determined how best to provide property owners with an accurate billing, property owners cannot rely on the lack of information the city has regarding how to bill properties which do not currently have city sewer services. And we have 4 more comments from Mike Armstrong. He writes, on behalf of the Pacific Southwest Association of Realtors, I urge the City Council to vote no on item 12, which would shift the city sewer billing to the county property tax roll. On May 12th, the City Council reversed their vote and voted to shift the sewer bills to a property tax rolls, with the following motion. Motion by McClellan, second by Goebel, to adopt Resolution 05120 to place sewer billing on the San Diego County tax roll and to suspend the collection of a portion of approved wastewater rate for fiscal year 2020, and to provide information to the public on the new sewer billing system and the availability to make monthly payments. Other than temporary paper billing for HOAs and tenants, there is no mention of the option for rate payers to make bi-monthly payments in the ordinance before you today. As a realtor, we know that placing the sewer bills on the property tax roll will negatively impact property buyers, making less affordable for them to finance the purchase of a home or other property in the city. We sent the City Council a breakout of the cost a lender needs to review before they can qualify for a home loan, which showed that a buyer would have to earn a higher annual income since all charges on the property tax roll, property taxes, school bonds, sewer bills, etc., are factored in when underwriting a loan. Thanks for hearing my concerns. And let me see. Next is from Robert Cromer. On behalf of the Pacific Southwest Association of Realtors, I urge the City Council to vote no on Council Item 12. The information that was sent 2 weeks ago to property owners said the decision was made as of July 1. The city will change the billing system, but it failed to let ratepayers know that they had the ability to protest the change. We believe this is a violation of state law, which requires taxpayers to be told they can protest and how to protest a change in their tax or fee billing. Ratepayers have received several confusing mailings regarding the change to the sewer billing, which include: 1, the first ratepayer notice included the rate a property owner would pay in fiscal year 2020-2021, but didn't mention that it included the last 2 months of the fiscal year in May and June 2020. 2, the new ratepayer notice, previously notification update, that was received last week, asked ratepayers to pay for sewer service through the fiscal year ending June 30. If ratepayers are being asked to pay for May and June sewer billings, the payment amount in the first mailing should be reduced, and the new notice contradicts the first one. 3, the tenant notice, page 3 of 5 of today's agenda, will require a property owner to collect sewer payments and may violate the state's rent control statute. We continue to oppose the sewer billing change and strongly encourage you to give ratepayers the option to receive a paper bill, so those that cannot afford the burden of an annual payment on their bill on the county property tax roll will have the option to pay their bills bi-monthly. Thank you for hearing my concerns. I have 2 more, and if you just excuse me, I'm receiving, I believe, 1 more. Yes. The next one is from Fabi. Regarding adding the sewer bill to our property taxes, will it now increase suddenly without us knowing? ? And comment number 9 is from Mr. Mike Oberbauer, which previously submitted a letter. I was going to watch the live streaming, but without audio, it is useless. I sent a letter in objecting to the shift to the property taxes. It was mentioned in the letter that there would be a saving by this shift, but if you were to bill once a year, you would see similar savings. Please don't convert our sewer bill to a tax. I know you will call it a service fee, but since it's on the tax bill, it is a tax. You will need a 2/3 vote to do this. I haven't seen any flyers lobbying for this new tax. And the last comment that was just submitted, actually, it's a blank comment. There's nothing there. And that concludes the comments for this item, sir.
All right. Yasmin and Graham, several issues brought up. Seems like there's a recurring issue of people feeling like we had said that it would be a cost savings, but it's actually going to be a cost increase. If you could address that. And then Graham, if you could address, or Morgan could address the concept of this being a tax and requiring a 2/3 vote, and whether it is a tax or not a tax, and why. And those are my thoughts. I'd like to get questions. If any other council members have questions of staff, we can. We answer these two first, and then I'll go to the rest of the council.
So I'll go ahead and answer the first question, and then Morgan, if you want to jump in on the second question. So, as you recall, about a year ago, the City Council approved through a rate increase rates for the next 5 years. So there was an anticipated rate increase of about 11% that was supposed to go into effect starting July 1. The proposal to put the billing via the tax roll actually allows us to reduce that 11% to a 9%. So even though we've been saying that the bills will go down, they were always going to go up. This just allows us to not have to increase them by as much. And as you recall, the majority of those costs that we were imposing on our ratepayers was costs that they're fixed costs that we receive from the City of San Diego, who treats our sewage. The majority of the costs were just passing along those fees that we were going to experience from them. So that explains that. And it's just really bad timing where there's three items all conflating at the same time. So it can be a little bit confusing. We recognize that.
That's like super confusing. Are we, have we thought about ways of communicating with the public that could explain that better, or do you feel like that's been explained pretty well?
Well, I think if you look at the FAQs, it does hit that topic. I know a lot of our the 402 calls that we've addressed in the last few weeks. That's been a common question. So I think we're getting the word out on that. As a reminder, this will be an item that you see every year because you're actually voting to put something onto the tax roll. And Morgan will talk about why that's not a tax in a second. But this is something that we'll see every year. But as part of that, it gives us a chance to remind the ratepayers of the rate increases that have been adopted in 2019. So we'll continue to do education on that year after year.
Thanks, Morgan.
So Morgan, do you want to follow up with the next question?
I sure will. Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, this is just a method of simply collecting the property-related fees, which is the sewer charge. Under California law, before you can increase a property-related fee, which is not by definition a tax, you must have a public hearing. And you did that last year, and you set fees for the next 5 years. You started them last year, and then this year, and then the next 3 years, I think, will follow. All will be increases. As you know and recall, you reduced this year's increase because of the idea of going on the tax roll. Now, just placing it on the tax roll does not make it a tax, contrary to what Mr. Overbauer had alleged in his comment. It just is, again, is simply a method to collect the fee and charge that you started out doing years and years and years ago by mailers. You've changed it over time to having Helix Water District bill it on our behalf, to having us go back to mailers on a bi-monthly basis. And now we're going to put it on the tax bill as a means of collection is all.
Okay. Other council members, you have questions of staff?
Morgan, can you explain why today is not a Prop 218 hearing and what a Prop 218 hearing is?
Sure. The difference between the two is this hearing is required simply from the Health and Safety Code procedures to place it on the tax roll. So as Graham mentioned, we will be having a public hearing each year to confirm placing it on the tax rolls. There'll be a report that's prepared, and notices will be legally only required to be published in the newspaper. Staff is very interested in continuing the mailing process to property owners, so they will be seeing this going before the City Council as a public hearing. But this public hearing is not the Prop 218 public hearing that you are using for increasing this type of fee or charge. Again, that happened way back in 2019 when you approved the 5 years worth of charges in order to address the shortfall that was coming in the sewer enterprise account. So there will be different public hearings for different purposes in the city. These are two distinctly different procedures. Again, if we're going to increase taxes in the future, different from what you've done in the past, you will be required to go through the majority protest hearing. And this is a majority protest, but it's not a protest on the charges. It's just the method of collection.
And there's a comment that said, hey, this is potentially a problem for California rent control law and that this is increasing rent. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't. I think we've looked at this before, and number one, we don't have rent control here in the city other than whatever executive order might apply. I can't remember what executive order might have addressed that, but we don't have local rent control. Utility charges are sometimes considered rent by the landlord, but I don't think legally they are rent. They're simply a pass-through charge to a tenant, and would not be, in my opinion, would not be creating any kind of an increase in rent that violates any of the state laws.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions by council? All right, seeing Graham, a couple of people reached out, talked about being on fixed incomes and talked about wishing they could pay their bill monthly. Could somebody from our organization contact them, explain to how they can pay their bill monthly?
Yes, we do, and we can do that. We'll reach out to those individuals that made that request, and we have the ability to do it on a case-by-case basis, allow individuals to pay on a regular basis to the city, and we're actually doing that with HOAs, some apartment complexes, and mobile home parks right now. So we're working that out. We can accommodate those types of customers.
And do we still have funds available for assistance with utilities?
I believe at this point, most of those funds have been distributed at this. So I think we've exhausted those funds.
Okay. All right. Any more questions?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second. All right. Please vote.
Mayor Welter, vote please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz.
Yes.
Council Member Goebel.
Yes.
Council Member Kendrick.
Yes.
And Council Member McClellan.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Yeah, I know we just closed the public hearing, but Angela, I just want to did we miss anybody that wanted to get their comment read?
No more comments, sir.
Okay.
And we're supposed to determine the majority protest has not been received, which it does not. So I would adopt the next resolution in order to determine the lack of majority protest, overrule objections to the report, accept the El Cajon sewer tax roll for 2021, direct the city clerk to file a report with the San Diego County Auditor, and direct the City Finance Department to file a certificate of service fees charges to the San Diego County Auditor.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Please vote.
Mayor Welter, vote please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz.
Yes.
Council Member Goebel.
Yes.
Council Member Kendrick.
Yes.
And Council Member McClellan.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That sounds good. We're going to get moving. Graham, were there any more public comments that came in?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We actually received a public comment via to the city clerk right after we ended the public comment for the open public comment. So if it's okay with the council, we can address that public comment right now.
Do we need the open public?
I think you just take the public comment as it is right now.
All right, please read it.
Thank you. This comment is from Mr. David Chenoweth, and he writes, over the past 2 weeks, I have observed El Cajon Police Department patrol officers engaged our public within 6 feet without wearing face coverings or any form of PPE. In each case, it appeared the officers were conducting interviews with complainants, witnesses, and homeless residents. In each case, some officers wore face coverings and some did not. This reckless and irresponsible behavior portrays an unprofessional and dangerous department by the El Cajon Police Department. I think this is a direct result of the leadership approach our city manager, mayor, and police chief chose for combating the coronavirus 19. When will our El Cajon Police Department respect our El Cajon residents enough to wear face coverings? That's the end of the comment, sir.
Thanks. Okay. Moving on to administrative reports. On today's agenda, item 13 is regarding the CARES Business Grant Program. Staff, will you tell us about this, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Ryan Villegas. I'm a management analyst in the City Manager's Office, and today I'll be providing an update to the CARES Business Grant Program, which was first introduced at the June 9th City Council meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a presentation coming. All right. Share. And then beginning. There we go. All right. So, as you may recall, the County of San Diego allocated approximately $1.8 million of CARES Act funding to the city of El Cajon. This came because the county distributed CARES Act funding to the cities of the county that did not receive direct funding from the federal government. And at the June 9th City Council meeting, the council directed staff to divide these funds accordingly. So $275,000 would be going towards the city's public health response efforts. $200,000 would go to the food delivery programs. $1.165 million would go to provide economic support in the community. And then approximately $200,000 was reserved for any supplemental funds that might be needed for the above programs. So the $1.165 million is actually the basis for the CARES funding, or CARES Business Grant Program. And later, actually in June, the state of California approved additional CARES funding and distributed that to all cities in the state. And so from this source, El Cajon received an additional approximately $1.3 million. And so staff is recommending to add that to the CARES Business Grant Program, which brings the total of the program to almost $2.5 million.
Great.
All right, so now, while all businesses were affected by COVID-19, staff recognizes that the non-essential businesses, which are those that were forced to shut down as a result of the health emergency, were most likely most affected. And so staff recommends to allocate 70% of the largest portion of these funds to non-essential businesses. And then 20% would go to the essential businesses, which are those that remained open throughout the pandemic, but then experienced more than a 50% drop in sales. And then the remaining 10% would go to restaurants. And the maximum awards that are shown are in place so that because this program is really aimed at small to medium-sized businesses that would benefit from this size of an award. And then also the program balances competing goals of helping as many businesses as possible, but while also ensuring that they're receiving meaningful amounts. So if hypothetically the maximum awards were given, then there'd at least be 113 businesses that would be helped. But if the awards are adjusted, then this would be much higher, of course. All right. So staff researched similar programs and recommends the following qualifications to ensure the greatest benefit to the businesses in El Cajon, but on a bigger scale, the El Cajon economy. So businesses should be physically located within city limits. They possess a city-issued business license with an effective date of March 19th or earlier. This is the date of the governor's executive order, which started the emergency and when businesses had to shut down. The owner must reside in San Diego County. The business must have between 2 and 25 employees prior to March 19th. Businesses where there's a business owner plus one employee would be eligible. For example, if there's an eye doctor and it's his business, so he would be the owner, then his one employee would be the receptionist. That would qualify too as well. And then also the businesses must not be in violation of any zoning, building, or code violations as of March 19th. So the goal of this program is really to stimulate the El Cajon economy, and then also the purpose of the funds is so that businesses can use it to rehire employees, pay overdue rent or utilities, pay off any debts, or any other business-related expenses that arose out of the COVID-19. So following staff direction after the June 9th meeting, council direction, staff formed a business grant committee made up of leaders and individuals in the city of El Cajon, and staff was committed to ensuring that this committee is reflective of the diversity we have here in the city. So there's members from the Middle Eastern community, the African American community, faith-based leaders. We have Latina business owners, there's female entrepreneurs. So it's a really diverse crowd that's going to be assisting to help to select recipients and then also award amounts that are going to be going to businesses. The application period is going to be brief. It's going to open tomorrow, July 15th, and it will go for a little bit over 2 weeks and end on the 31st. The reason for the short period is that all funds actually have to be spent by September 1st. So since we are using funds from both the county and then also the state of California, they actually have different parameters for when the funds have to be spent by. And since we combine them into one to make a bigger funding source for this grant, therefore the city is required to have the deadline for funds to be spent on September 1st. So with that, the staff recommends the City Council approve the proposed CARES business grant program and then also to open the application period and authorize the acceptance, appropriation, and expenditures for the CARES Act funding as detailed in the report. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ryan. What a great report. I appreciate all the work that went into that. Staff, any questions?
Right. No, that's good. Good idea.
Council. Oh, looks like you explained everything, Ryan. Oh, there's one. Steve?
I got a couple questions.
Yes.
So how will the city get the word out?
So we already made an announcement last week. We sent out, so tapping into the business response committee, we have actually emails. We sent out emails to business owners announcing that the city council was going to be considering this item today. And so we also created an email that's designated for this. It's caresgrant@cityofalcajon.us. And we've already, after having sent out that information last week, we've already gotten an influx of questions related to the program. And then also we've done a social media posting about it too as well. And then our partners in the business grant, the committee, and then also the Downtown El Cajon business partners have also helped to spread the word too as well.
So can you give us the email address again?
Absolutely. CARES Grant, that's CARES, and then grant, GRANT, @cityofalcajon.us.
Okay. And you said something about a business response network or something like that. Does that make it sound like you have email addresses for many of the businesses in El Cajon to push this out?
Yes, we have the emails for any business that has a business license. We have their email as well too, so we've been able to spread the word that way too, and so that was done late last week.
And do you think that covers at least half of the businesses in El Cajon, that contact list?
The email that was sent out last week, I understand that there was approximately 2,000 emails that had gone out. And then even within an hour and a half, I already had 20 to 30 emails coming into this email, and I was responding to a good handful of people too as well.
What will be the committee's process if they receive more than, well, in your example, 113 would get the maximum amount. What if you get 300 applications? What's the process for deciding who gets how much?
Well, so on the applications when they fill them out, they'll be requesting whatever amount that they request, and they'll also be declaring or stating what they intend to use these funds for. When we accept the applications here at City Hall, we'll just ensure that they're filled out for completeness, and then in early August, then we'll be sending the applications out, the completed applications out to the committee, and so then conversations will be had so we can determine what the appropriate fund levels are to go out to the businesses.
So this has to move fast, because if they're going to decide in early August, that only gives them 3 weeks to notify and spend the money.
Right.
My final question is, where is the grant application found?
So the grant application is actually going to be going live tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. They'll be on the banner on the top of the city's website where the COVID link has been located for the last couple of months. It's going to be right there. It's going to take them to the homepage, which everything we just talked about in this presentation will be there, and then all the requirements and all the forms or the attachments that they'll need to send in. Everything is there, and with a link to the application too as well. So
to repeat for any listeners, it's look for the banner at the top of cityofalcajon.us tomorrow.
Right. Correct.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Council, any other questions? Angela, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No comments were received, sir.
All right. So it's a great program. I'm really glad that we got a committee together that's making decisions on how to spend the money. I think they're going to do a good job. And looking for a motion and a second.
I'll move to approve the proposed CARES Business Grant Program, direct staff to open up the application period, and authorize the acceptance, appropriation, and expenditure of CARES Act funding as detailed in the report.
Second.
Angela?
Thank you, sir. Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick?
Yes.
Councilmember McClellan?
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Great. I'm looking forward to hearing all about this.
Thank you.
The last administrative report, item 15, is an update on the legislation report. And I will ask our Assistant City Manager, Mr. DiMaggio, to tell us about this.
How about 14?
Mayor, you missed 14.
Oh, I got overexcited. Vince, I was so much looking forward to your report that I skipped ahead. Okay, 14. The second administrative report, item 14, is an update on the city's homeless strategies. And I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before I touch on that, I did want to tag on something related to the last agenda item having to do with helping our businesses. As you recall, the city council adopted a policy that allows us to issue a no-fee temporary use permit for restaurants to operate outside of their restaurant walls into the sidewalk or parking lots. As you know, the governor implemented a new executive order that closes a lot of businesses, hair salons and gyms and malls with interior stores. We're going to, at the staff level, extend the council's policy of the temporary use permit, the no-fee temporary use permit, to apply to those businesses as well. So if a hair salon wants to move outdoors in their parking lot, they would just simply apply for that no-fee TUP, and we'll approve that right away. So just wanted to let the council know that we're working on helping businesses besides just the loan program or the grant program. So this next agenda item number 14, has to do with updating the city council on homeless strategies. If we go to the next slide, really the purpose is kind of threefold. We're going to very briefly touch on a summary of the grant programs that are currently in place or have been in place. We wanted to quickly address some of the CARES Act funding programs and highlight where we're at with those. And then we wanted to we wanted to really focus the majority of the presentation on the upcoming fiscal year's priorities relating to homelessness with 2 agreements for City Council consideration. If we can go to the next slide, please. So as you recall, we've been operating since 2017 a series of programs really aimed at trying to find housing for the homeless and also to help alleviate neighborhoods that are impacted by homelessness and homeless encampments. So since 2017, implementing the Housing Connections program with Crisis House as our service provider and the Away Back Home program with the Salvation Army, we've been able to find housing for 179 individuals, mostly chronically homeless individuals, finding them permanent housing. We've also housed on a temporary basis hundreds of individuals through ECTLC's shelter program. We've cleaned up through the ECLT neighborhood cleanup program over 200 tons of trash since last year. Our wonderful East County Task Force has engaged the community in ways that we never could engage them. And then through our city's quality of life team, since just January, we've picked up 21.8 tons of trash, 89 abandoned shopping carts, and worked on projects such as Hillside Park and getting it ready for some other improvements there and clearing out homeless encampments in that park that were abutting a neighborhood. So that's kind of a highlight of some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in the last year or two. And we're really proud of some of the things that we've been able to do with our community partners and appreciate their assistance in accomplishing those. Moving on to, as you recall, the city received about $800,000 in an initial CARES Act COVID-19 funding, and that was really aimed at helping individuals experiencing impacts of COVID-19. So we allocated a lot of money towards a utility assistance program and a rental program. Those monies have been almost 100% allocated. We acquired additional shelter beds through ECTLC, and then we've been able to put folks into hotels and motels through a motel-hotel voucher program that Home Start has been able to administer for us. Those funds are getting close to being fully expended at this point, and so as we get more CARES Act money, we may want to reconsider allocating additional funds to continue those programs. So moving on to our 2020 focus, I'll go to the next slide. Over the last year, at least 3 times in 2020, the City Council has looked at how we want to allocate funds into the future. Do we want to continue with some of the same programming? Do we want to shift some things? And so a couple things that we've heard in the last 3 meetings is, one, that the task forces are important. So we'll continue to support the East County Task Force financially. We'll continue to support the San Diego Regional Task Force through going to attending meetings. The city's quality of life team is extremely important in my mind, and the City Council agrees, and so we'll continue that. We'll continue emergency sheltering through ECTLC, which has been a wonderful partner for the many years we've been with them. We'll continue to contract with them for neighborhood cleaning, and we're continuing to hone that program. And then we'll finish out our CARES Act programs until those funds expired. 2 of the other things that the council wanted to understand are I'll start with the other. One is, what other programs exist out there that we're just unaware of? And so we didn't know. And the other thing, the council really wanted to continue some sort of an active outreach program. And when I say active outreach, more than just sitting in an office waiting for homeless individuals to contact them, but us having someone go out on the streets, work with our police department, work with other homeless service providers, and really actively reach out to individuals seeking or that may need help and solicit their assistance or really advocate for them. And as part of that outreach program, there'd be a very robust rehousing program similar to what we've done in the past. Because we didn't know who the potential players were, we recommended that we release a request for information, not a formal request for proposals, but just tell us what you are interested in helping the city of El Cajon with, And so we put that out on the street, that what we call it an RFI. If we can go to the next slide. We indicated that we had money available. We received 8 different responses. For example, we received one that said, we're really interested in doing a parking lot shelter, and but we're not ready to do it in the next year or two, but we want you to keep us in mind. So we had some types of responses like that. Salvation Army put in a response. Crisis House said they were interested. Home Start said they were interested. We had some other individuals that were interested in providing us some services. So based on those RFI responses, there were 2 organizations, both Crisis House and Home Start, that expressed interest in some sort of outreach and rehousing program, something similar to what Crisis House had been doing for us over the last 2 years. Because the RFI didn't ask for a lot of specific information, we specifically sought some very detailed information from both Crisis House and Home Start about that outreach program, what that would look like, how much they thought it would cost, how they would allocate money to different programs. We received information back only from Home Start, and we were really pleased with that information we received. So based on the RFI response, what we would recommend is we focus our $210,000 on specifically 2 programs. One, that we continue to partner with the Salvation Army for the Way Back Home program. We also recommend that we work with Home Start and allocate $200,000. You can hit the next slide, Frank, who's operating this PowerPoint. Here we go. We work with Home Start, allocate $200,000 to them to run the outreach program. That, just so you know, that program would include $60,000 for an outreach specialist, $90,000 for direct assistance, and then $50,000 for other operational costs that will include staffing that will support that operation, or the outreach specialist will work to find apartments to relocate homeless into and handle all the administrative costs. So those are our recommendations at this point, where we think are make sense. So with that, staff would recommend that the council adopt the resolution that would allow us to enter, at least, actually, it's not a resolution. At this time, we actually request your authorization to finalize those agreements with the Salvation Army and Home Start, and then we can enter into those agreements and get these programs running. So with that, staff's available to answer any questions that you may have.
Council, any questions for staff?
Is the Home Start program similar to what we did with Crisis House and the Housing Navigator program?
Very, very similar. Very similar.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Angela, any comments on this?
Yes, sir. We received one comment card, and it is submitted by Home Start, and it comes from Laura Tracredi Baese, CEO, Chris Schilling, Director of Programs, and Lauren Pollock, Deputy Director of Housing. And they write, "Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Wells and council members. We want to thank you for your consideration of our current homelessness outreach proposal, as well as your continued partnership in serving vulnerable and unsheltered residents of El Cajon. We are excited to share our current CARES Act CDBG results, which now includes 78 people experiencing homelessness, being sheltered and receiving case management through our motel assistance program, and 15 households being prevented from entering homelessness through our rental assistance program. In addition, through our in-kind partnerships, we are currently providing a total of 1,000 non-perishable meals per week to those staying in the motels and other vulnerable residents of East County. We believe the current street-based outreach model we are proposing will make a significant impact on reducing unsheltered homelessness in El Cajon, while continuing to position El Cajon as a regional leader in supporting evidence-based homelessness services. We want to thank Graham Mitchell and his stellar team for their recommendation of our proposal and their constant professionalism. Again, we want to thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to continuing to partner with the City of El Cajon to help those experiencing homelessness obtain the services and permanent housing they desperately need. That's the end of the comment.
Well, that's a great letter and a great update. Especially happy to hear about the 15 families that didn't become homeless as a result of that intervention program. I'm really proud of that. That's good work. Council, any more comments or questions before we go to a vote? Okay, looking for a motion then.
Move to accept.
Second.
Recommendation.
All right.
Mayor Welts, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Council Member Goebel,
Yes.
Council Member Kendrick,
Yes.
Council Member McClellan.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, now, Vince, the moment we waited for, the legislative report.
Well, Mayor and Council, Mayor, I'm happy that you're so enthused by this. I'm not sure you will be enthused when I'm done with it, but I'll give it a shot here. So going all the way back to January, which seems like light years ago, the legislature started its work by the introduction of 2,500 bills. Then COVID lockdown happened in March, and when they came back, they were able to lower that number down to the bills that they would consider to around 500. That's certainly good. The composition of the bills is not so good. They continue to attempt to erode away at the city's ability to control its own land use. This is a recurring theme. We've seen it a couple of years now. So I'm only going to hit a couple of them. You have the full report with the ones that both your staff and the League of California Cities are keeping a particular close eye on. So, but I do want to highlight, just for the record, the ones that we feel are the most important. The first is SB 793. This is a carryover from last year. It's the one that seeks to prohibit all flavored tobacco, which would include menthol cigarettes, but also exempts hookah tobacco. So this is exactly the same as we saw last year. Again, all of these are in the very early stages of the process. So they're either in committee or are currently receiving amendments. So there's no imminent approval of them as the way they are. The next one, which does get into the land use issue, is AB 1279. This is significant. It seeks to require that a city allow by right, no conditional permitting whatsoever, but by right, 4 units per parcel in a low density single family residential zone, as long as all of those units are occupied by people earning the area median income. The B side to this piece of legislation is it also requires the city to allow residential development in commercial zones of up to 40 units per quarter acre. Now, in some cases, in some select cases, I would argue this could be good, but as a blanket mandate from Sacramento all the way down here in El Cajon, which doesn't really know our unique set of circumstances, I would argue that this is not good as just a blanket mandate. So these are the type of things that we're dealing with, these type of pieces of proposed legislation. The next one is AB 3107, which is a bit of a companion piece to the previous one, and there's some talk of combining the two or working out the differences so it's all one piece of legislation. But this, again, requires a city to allow residential development in commercial zones if 20% of the housing are designated as affordable with deed restrictions. So again, it would be most likely what we're thinking is a condominium type situation with ownership opportunities for people that qualify in one of the lower income categories. The next series, let me go with AB 2122. This again is a repeat of similar legislation from past sessions and imposes a penalty of $30,000 for unlicensed commercial cannabis operations. That I think is a general positive in terms of the policies that this council has wanted to follow with regard to illegal cannabis operations and how cannabis is dealt with in the city of El Cajon. This would be a positive, I think. The next few that I want to mention, or the last 3 I'll mention, are all reactions to current circumstances with regard to the Black Lives Matter movement or police, how the police conduct their business, police policies. The first is AB 66, bans the use of tear gas and establishes mandatory standards in the use of less lethal force or weapons. Again, this is very broad. So again, to the extent that there's a tactical use of tear gas in a situation where somebody's barricaded or is holding somebody in a kidnap situation where the police may deploy tactically a tear gas on a small scale, it's not mentioned in the legislation whether that would be prohibited in this case because it's so broad. So I would look for this piece of legislation to receive some amendments, but I would also look for it to be approved in one form or another. The next one is AB 1196, which outlaws the use of the carotid restraint. I should mention that our police chief has already, as a matter of policy, prohibited that on the El Cajon police force. This would simply be a law that prohibits it statewide. And lastly would be SB 731, which does several things. In some certain circumstances, it eliminates the immunity privileges for public employees convicted of civil rights violations. Typically, public employees do have, some type of immunity in doing their jobs, and even if they are brought to trial, they're defended by their organization. In this case, that type of immunity would be lifted in the case of civil rights violations. It also prohibits individuals who have been convicted of certain specific crimes earlier on in their lives from becoming law enforcement officers. So again, I would look for this one also, perhaps with some amending, to become law at the end of the session. Those are the ones that I just wanted to highlight for you, and I'll close by saying that the session was meant to resume about 2 weeks ago, but there has been some outbreak of COVID amongst the staffers and some legislators, and so they are still on recess and look to try and resume the session in the next couple of weeks. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Questions?
Less laws, the better.
Vince, would you send me a what you've written down to my email? I'd like to follow that.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, Vince, I'd like that too.
Okay, I'll send it to the council to your individual email addresses.
And actually, Vince, as you're, especially this year, as you're following this, regular updates by email would be appreciated.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thanks, Vince. Good job.
You're welcome.
Okay. There are no commission reports on today's agenda. Item 16 is my activities report. We're at activities report for council members now. I'll start with Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
McClellan.
As reported.
Goebel.
As reported, and I have a comment when it's appropriate. You want to do it now or at the end of this?
Sure.
Okay. You know, we talked about being flexible with outdoor areas for businesses. We've got some great city assets in terms of beautiful parks and mezzanines and promenades and things. We should also consider letting businesses that could take advantage of those parks. That could be an exercise class. That could be support groups. That could be artists. There are some people who just can't feasibly meet in a parking lot. And it seems like we've got a great asset in city parks to be able to let them do that. And I'd encourage staff to consider them as part of the outreach process and permitting process as well.
Churches as well.
Yes.
Great idea.
So council, we know that the city of Poway is actually having a special meeting tomorrow evening to consider some policies around that. We'll kind of watch what Poway is looking at, and if there's some value, we'd bring that back. I think we would need to make some policy changes. Our municipal code wouldn't allow us to do that without some council input. But okay. we'll continue to explore that.
Sadly, it looks like we're going to have some time to explore all these measures. I think we're going to be living this way for a little while. All right, on to activities report of Mr. Ortiz.
As reported.
All right. There are no joint council member reports today. There are no general information items for discussion. There are no first or second readings of ordinances on today's agenda, and there are no closed session items. And so we are at the adjournment, the regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 14th day of July 2020, is adjourned until Tuesday, July 28th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m., where I assume that we will all see you again by Zoom meeting, and I'm hoping we can all see your faces in real life sometime very soon. Good luck, everybody. Be safe out there.
Thank you.